Target audience is really being specific, chiseled, deep dive, clear about who it is that you're trying to reach. I don't even put it I can't put it any simpler. Who are you trying to reach? Who is that particular group of people?
Now, because you teach people not to make that mistake, what would you say are the challenges authors faced about getting right their target audience?
The other part is the psychographics. So go beyond your demographics and explore the psychographics of your audience. This includes their interests. What do they like? Their values, their beliefs, their hobbies, and their lifestyle. It's really understanding the physiological aspects of your readers, and this can help you create content that speaks to their preferences and motivations.
Hi, I'm Obehi Ewan, the author of the storytelling series for small businesses and content creators. In Obehi Podcast, we talk about the power of your story, your narrative, and why you should own your voice. Whether you are a small business owner, a content entrepreneur, or you simply want to build your influence, storytelling is probably going to be your best instrument to connect with your audience. So join the awakened few who are owning their voices. Now let's get started with today's episode.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I just want to thank you for inviting me again. It means that I must have done something right to come back. So I'm really excited to be here. I love when people are, talking about spreading stories and leaving legacies across the world. And I want to apologize if you hear any noises. I'm in this middle of the town. So I'm in the center of the city. So it's going to be a bit noisy at points, but please ignore the noise and get to the conversation. My name is Dr. Ava Eagle Brown. I'm a life book and business strategist, an independent publisher. Who's published more than 30 people in the last couple of over the pandemic, and really all about sharing stories, but also talking about how you can turn books into businesses. That's a big part of what I do. I'm glad to be here. I'm a mom. I live between Europe and the Caribbean, and I love being here to share my little bit of knowledge and wisdom and what I've gained on this journey with you. And I hope today will be no different. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you so much, sister. I love that. I love that. You are traveling. You are actually on the enjoyment part of business, no? That you're able to travel and move around in your business. That is something interesting. Not everybody is able to do that. How do you manage to do that to start with?
Well, it's such a great question. I hate working for people. Can I just say that? I think I probably have ADHD. I probably have a working ADHD. I don't like to. I'm an artistic person and I like variety. And so I would sit at my corporate job in England and I would feel I would be twitching under the tables. And so I kept saying to myself, one day I'm going to work for myself. And so about 7-8 years ago, I became a book coach and a speaker and a trainer. And it kind of took me on a path where now, there were several things to it. There were coaching and layers of working with other people and collaborations. But also it was a lot of really being intentional about who I wanted to become in the world. And so from there, I was able to, put together things in place. COVID was a big trigger for me. And my book really is, in essence, what really kind of helped me to live this kind of lifestyle that I live now, to be honest with you.
That's interesting. Anyway, the last time you talked a little bit about your book. Yeah, not a little bit. We talked a lot about the book, but we can never talk too much about it. But of course, if you like, we can also touch a bit about it because that book, I find it to be very interesting. For those who haven't read it, get it on Amazon and read it, The Mango Girl. Of course, Ava can talk a little bit about that if she likes to, because of course, why not? But of course, today we are talking about the advantages of a target audience in book writing and in business. That is important for us. If you are in business, or maybe you are an author, you need to understand the importance of a target audience, that you are not just speaking to everybody. Everybody cannot be your audience, because it would mean that you don't have audience, because you cannot serve more than 8 billion people in the world with your message. That is just impossible. So I would like to start like this, Ava. What does it mean by target audience? How would you approach that if you were to describe it to a child, for example?
That's a great question. Target audience is really being specific, chiseled, deep dive, clear about who it is that you're trying to reach. I don't even put it any, I can't put it any simpler. Who are you trying to reach? Who is that particular group of people that you're trying to reach? I'll give an example. For example, my coaching programs, especially around my mindset coaching, is really targeted at people who are struggling with their mindset, their thinking. It's really aimed at mainly women, but it's not exclusive, but it includes men. But most of my target audiences are women who are struggling with how they think, their mindset. And that is a target audience. So, and there's an age group, it's 35 to 55, and you could chisel it down to more where they shop and how much spending power they have. Do they work? Do they not work? It's really like what we call an avatar in marketing. It's really who is your ideal client. That's who you're targeting. That's how I look at it anyway. What is your take on it? I don't know if that makes sense for you.
Of course it does. It does. Why not? And of course, I'm not going to ask you just that one. We are going to have time to go a little bit more about that. The next question I think people would like to understand also, looking at the target audience, the avatar, and the person who your message is directed to, is why the pay? Why should I do that? Why is it important for people to know their target audience when they are writing or when they are in business? What do you say about that?
It's really important to know your target audience, whether you're writing a book or business. And this can never be overstated, because identifying and understanding your target audience is a fundamental step in effectively reaching and engaging the right people. If you don't do that, you'll be senselessly, and I see it happen on social media every day. People say, "Oh, Ava, why are you not on social media more often?" Because that's not how my targeting is. I'm not just out there throwing lines hoping to catch a fish. I'm intentional. Target audiencing is intentionality. It's making sure that you understand who you're reaching and who you're trying to reach. So it's really important to have it. And for those people who are thinking that, why do I need to do it? Let me ask you a question. Why do you buy the brands you buy? Have you ever considered that? Why do you buy a Nike over a Primark or a non-name? Why do you buy a Gucci bag as opposed to a regular bag, canvas bag in the supermarket? Is because the targeting that those companies have done has really reached your cranium and spoken to your mind, and emotively, you got up and put your hand in your pocket, take out that card and pay for it. That is what targeting really does. And anybody who thinks it's not necessary has not really read the business books as yet. That's my take on that.
Oh, right. That's great. They're going to have to read the book. Hello, guys, you are listening up. Avan is saying that you need to read the book. With me, there are books that are available for you if you want to learn about target audience. Of course, if you want to learn business anyway, there are lots and lots of books out there, because there is no way that the knowledge can just jump somewhere and enter into your head. So thank you for saying that. And of course, talking of books, Dr. Ava, would you like to tell me why you choose book publishing as part of your business? Then, of course, we are within the line of target audience.
It came naturally for me, but very early on, I realized that this makes sense. It's value added. Value added in your business is important. My book is like a magnet, a lead magnet. I hope, for those who don't understand what a lead magnet is, and I'm sure everybody understand that, a lead magnet is like a marketing tool. It's really what brings clients to me. It's really what gives me more business. A lead magnet is a marketing term really that we use for, valuable resource and incentive that you use to really target, again, potential customers in exchange for their information. So a lead magnet for me is my book. My book gets me conversations. My book gets me business. My book gets me speaking engagement. And it also brings me in money when I'm not even remembering that I have it published. So that is why I put book publishing into my business. But also, I want to tell stories. I want to leave legacies. I want mostly Afro-Caribbean voices to be heard. And that's one of the reasons that I started doing book publishing.
Mm-hmm. And how would you describe the reception of the people, the community? Because the African diaspora community, for me, literature is particularly important for us. I say particularly because, of course, you know that I live by storytelling. I think that we need to up the game of reading, and we need to up the game of importantly documenting our own experience, which is telling our story, which is where you are, that people should be documenting their story. We need to let the universe know that we are here. So, what is the reception of the people? How do you see the people reacting to the work that people like you are doing? Because, of course, there are a couple of people out there that are in the book publishing business. But what is the reception of the people? How do you see it?
To be really honest, my audience is very mixed bag. But if you were in the audio room I was today, like it was so emotional. I cried because, and I don't really cry that easily, but one of the attendees really made me cry. She was talking about reading my book and what she got from it. And that's what made me understand that what I'm doing in the world is valuable, what I'm doing in the world is right, and that I'm on the right path. But I think that for the Afro-Caribbean diaspora community, I think we're catching on. I think we're realizing that our place is really important. Our place is really important in this writing space, that our voices are heard. I think Amazon has made it very crucial for people like us to be there. I think books like Half of a Yellow Sun by the Nigerian author Chimamanda, a lot of us know her, has really created this movement towards more of us wanting to get our voices heard. I think some of us get frustrated when we recognize that our books don't make it that far, and we get frustrated with the process, but we have not stopped to acknowledge and question, why haven't I made it that far? And more often than not, are several elements in what we talked about today. The book cover was our conversation today on my audio room. We talked about the book cover and the elements that go into it, and the fact that those elements create whether people buy our books or not, but also the marketing of the book. More of us are not prepared to market. So the reception I've had has been really phenomenal. I work with a lot of clients. I'm working on an amazing book right now that really has me so intrigued. It's 173,000 words, written by a Jamaican author. Powerful book. I've just put out a children's book for a Caucasian guy in the UK. I'm working on a book for a Black social worker in the UK, a Black accountant at the moment from Uganda, and just so many more pieces. The reception has been great, but we have a lot of work to do. We need to work on our self-confidence in believing that we can write. And we need to start networking with people who are doing what we're doing. We need to seek to do more collaborative work, because so often some of us still have the mentality of doing it on our own, and doing it on our own is never going to get us to where we should be. I really think that we need to have large conferences where Black people gather together and start having writing conferences. And yes, it's a business idea, just give it to somebody. If you choose to listen to this and take it forward, make sure I'm the keynote speaker. I beg you. But more importantly,
I love that.
But more importantly, I really believe that more of us need to collaborate. More of us need to start reading each other's books. More of us need to understand that we have powerful stories to tell. And more of us need to become bold and audacious and non-negotiable and unapologetic in saying, this is my language, it's the way I speak, and I am going to tell my unique story. That is when we're going to change the needle and the narrative of where we're standing today.
I so much love that. I so much do. We need to know that it is our story. That is a line I used to say. Of course, I still believe so much on Obehi Podcast, in this podcast, that everyone have a story to share. You can never say you don't have a story. It is not possible. You are a human being. You'll be living for 20, 30 years, 40 years. Come on. If you put your story together, it could become a bestseller. But even if it doesn't become a bestseller, for the fact that you have written it, it means that it's going to be existing in the world, so that people that are going to be here for hundreds of years after today will read about you. Because for how long do we live? For a very short space of time, we like a kind of a flicker of light, then we disappear, we never come back again. So we really owe it to ourselves and to our generation yet unborn, to tell our story, to make sure that we leave our point of view before we die. I think that is really very important. All right, now, how do you define the audience? Because that is very important for us. Because now you cannot speak to everybody. You cannot write a book and say it's for everybody. Okay, when we started, me in my own case, when I started, I used to do that. I would say, oh, yeah, anybody that can read it. But later I realized that no, it's not. It cannot be for everybody. So you must be speaking to a specific group of people. But how do you define that? Help me with that.
That is a powerful question. So defining your target audience for your book is a crucial step in writing and marketing process. And I think more, I wish you were in my room a while ago. I spoke about how the reason that somebody in the room shared how, I think she was in the Philippines, and she was very disappointed with some of the books she's written, because on the cover it looks enticing, but when she opened the pages, she wants to bring it back and get her money. And we went through what some of the reasons this is the case. And one of the reasons that there was no targeting. There was no you sitting down and really precisely define your target audience. The better you can tailor your content to their needs and interests, the better it is that you get better reviews and results. So how do you do that? So basically for the book, you need to look at the demographics. So start by considering the basic demographics, the characteristics of your ideal reader. This includes their age, their gender, their location, their educational level, their income, and their occupation, because these factors, believe it or not, can help you understand who your book is likely to attract or resonate with. The other part is the psychographics. So go beyond your demographics and explore the psychographics of your audience. This includes their interests. What do they like? Their values, their beliefs, their hobbies, and their lifestyle. It's really understanding the physiological aspects of your readers, and this can help you create content that speaks to their preferences and motivations. And so often we write books and we do not remember that it's not for us, because so often writers are writing and they don't focus on who they're supposed to write for. The other thing I want to focus on, the genre and the niche. It's really determining what genre your book falls into. Different genres appeal to different audiences. So for example, romantic novels have a different audience than science fictions or self-help books. It's understanding your reader persona. Who are your readers? So you need to create reader personas or profiles that represent your ideal reader. So give them names and detailed characteristics. And this really happens when you sit down and you map out your outline. So for example, you might have a Jane who's 32 years old. She's urban, she's professional with an interest in personal development, or understanding the market research that needs to go into your book. So conduct market research, identify existing books or authors similar to your work. You must learn to benchmark and analyze their readership to get insights into your potential audience. The other thing is the problem solution fit. So determine what problem or need your readers have. What is your book going to address as a problem, and who is likely to seek solutions to that problem? Your audience is often defined by the people looking for answers, and that your book provides. Test your readers. There's nothing wrong with doing a beta. If you don't have a draft for your sample chapters, consider testing them with small groups of people and potential readers. Their feedback can provide great insight into your book's appeal to a specific audience. And position your book. Consider how your book will be positioned in the marketplace amongst your competition. Is it for young people, fantasy novel, or is it a business self-help guide? Understanding your book's category can help you define your audience. And the last couple of points I want to make on that: social media and online communities are great places and platforms to go and interact and observe what people are interested in. Use keywords in your targeting to understand what terms and phrases our potential readers that you are searching for are using. Can this reveal their interests or their concerns? Feedback and iterations. As you write, refine your book, keep your audience in mind. It's not about you. Set feedback, seek feedback from beta or beta readers who represent your target audience, and open to making adjustments based on their input. You need to have empathy and understanding. Develop a deep understanding of your audience's pain points, desires, and aspirations. This empathy, I tell you, my friend, will inform your readers about what will inform you, the writer, and make the book more relatable. Let me say something to you. Defining your target audience is an ongoing process. It's not a one-stop, one-fix situation. And it may evolve as you gain a better understanding of your readers, and through interactions and feedback and book beta, etc. The more specific and well-defined your audience is, the better you can tailor your work, your marketing strategy, and distribution channels, and you will have a win-win book. I know it was a long one, but I hope you got what I was trying to say.
Or even though it was a long one, my sister, it was interesting, it was important, and it was valuable. So even though it's long, yeah, it's appreciated. Thank you so much for that. All
You're
right, now
welcome.
you look at the different type of audience. Does that mean that different audience respond differently to books or to businesses? Because basically they are the same. We are talking of books here, but we're also looking at it as a business, in that you write a book to be able to earn from it, not just because you want to put it out there, even though you can also do that. But here we're looking at you writing a book for the purpose of leveraging it. In that sense, the audience, of course, is going to be very important. But do different audiences respond to books differently? What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. Different audiences respond to book differently. Because remember, I'll give you an example. My son just started high school, and until last year, he would never read a book that doesn't have a picture. I use my son as a good target. He's like, Mommy, it doesn't have any pictures. That's not so. If you go and write a book for 11-year-olds who like books with pictures, then you're wasting your time. So you have to have different audiences, have varying preferences and expectations when it comes to books. So understanding these differences is really essential for authors and publishers to create the content that resonates with specific readers. So for example, you need to look at genre preferences, tone and style, content depth, character diversity. You need to look at things like narrative structures and themes and messages, character development, reading habits, age and life stage, marketing and promotion. I'm not going to write a book with fine prints for people who are in their 70s. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to write bigger fonts. So marketing and promotion, how do you market it? Feedback and reviews are important. Really recognizing the differences that your audience has responding differently to your book is an essential skill that every author needs to have, because it involves tailoring your content, your style, and your efforts to aligning with the expectations. When you have readers that are not having their expectations met, you lose them. So you have to understand that you have to have different ways of staying attuned to the trends that your target audience are leaning into.
Thank you so much for that. That is highly valuable. It's highly valuable. Now I am thinking, how do you and when should you shift a target audience? Is that something that we should even consider at all?
Yes, before you start writing, that's my simple one sentence answer. Before you put that pen to paper to start that first sentence about it was 1962 and I was sitting in Lekki Island in Lagos drinking my martini. Before you put that first sentence to paper, you should have thought about who would want to read about you sipping martini in Lekki Island. Simple answer. Very simple, not long, not straightforward. You ought to think about your target audience. When I do my book sessions with my clients, I normally sit down with them and map out a strategy. And we start with the who, what, where, and why questions. Who are you writing for? Why are you writing for them? Did they ask you to write for them? What is it that you see that make you want to write for them? Why do you think they want to read this? That's targeting. Do you understand that? That is what I do. From the very thought drops into your head that you want to write, you ought to be thinking about the who. In every aspect of business, the who is the most important part in my estimations.
All right. Now, I'm looking at the book that you're describing. A hypothetical author that is sitting in Lekki Beach in Lagos, and is imagining the kind of audience that he or she is going to have, or is targeting, and is writing the book specifically for that audience. All right. If we take that into business, say maybe for example, you have a business and at a point you need to pivot to a different direction. Therefore, you are having a different kind of audience. So that let's look at it. How would you approach it in that sense? Because yes, we're talking of book, but we're also talking of business. So maybe, for example, the business realize that you need to move to change an audience or something like that. How would you approach a situation like that? And what usually will lead to a situation where you might need to change your audience, if you can even think of that.
If you have an existing business, you're trying to shift your target audience.
Yeah.
A couple of things. So, first of all, I assume you've done the research. You understand that you shift your target audience. This could be because you're not making the sales, or you have a competition, or something has led you to realize that you need to shift your target audience. The first thing that I think you need to really look at is, do you what type of products do you have, and you understand that your target audience is for this product. Great. So now you need to find out where they fish. Where do they hang out? How are you going to bring them to your business? So one thing is to identify how to shift, that you want to shift them, but where are they hanging out? How do you find them? And once you understand how to find them, you need to start engaging them to come to your business. That's a simplistic answer. There are ways and strategies we use, but it's first of all finding out where they fish, and then how do you attract them to come to you? That's how you need to start the conversation.
Now, what about you personally? Was there a time in your writing career that you didn't know your specific target audience? What did you do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So oh God, I really wish you were in my room. Ah, God. So I shared in my room a while ago how I wrote the book Bamboo and Fern. And I was really just focused on telling my story. I just want to get it out. And I wasn't thinking about anybody else. Who give a hoot about anybody else at the time? It was about Ava wanting to share her story, her life, what she was going through the voice of the Mango Girl. And then I shared a while ago how people kept asking me so it was called Bamboo and Fern, that's my first book. But people kept asking me where in the farm store aisle, the flower aisle, the plant aisle, they could find my book. And I was really upset. And I was getting really annoyed, not understanding why the hell can't they get what I am trying to articulate. And then it dawned on me that I wrote a book for me. I didn't write a book for my audience. I wrote a book for Ava because I was just thinking about my story. I didn't think about the cover. I didn't think about the name. I didn't think about anything. I just thought about what I wanted. And so I had to revamp my book based on the feedback, the beta testing that I got. And that's how I end up with the Mango Girl. So yes, I have been guilty of saying, now I teach people how not to make that mistake in their businesses, in their lives, and when writing their books.
All right. Experience, they say, is the best teacher. All right. Thank you for that. Now, because you teach people not to make that mistake, what would you say are the challenges authors faced about getting right their target audience? Because if it is something that is simple for everybody, people should be doing it. You should have a business helping people to find their audience, no? So help me understand that. What are their challenges about doing it right?
The challenges about doing target marketing right are really simple. Is people not willing to put in the work, not willing to listen to feedback, not willing to spend money to market. In our Black culture, let's talk about my culture. In our culture, I work with a lot of different people, and the ones that I find and I'm not knocking my people, I'm just being honest. We are the ones who I find in my business who are hardest to put our hands in our pockets. We want to find every reason in the book to talk about why we shouldn't pay this amount of money. We're the first one to talk about how much it's going to cost. We're the first one to talk about negotiating your price. We're the first ones who try to get it for free. And so in my estimation, the really real reason that most of us find it such a challenge to get it right is because we do not want to be able to put our hands in our pocket and pay what is needed to get it done. That's my simple answer.
That is really, very important. It really is. And how do you know if your target audience is responding well to your book? Because now you have done your research, which is really, you don't yet know what the people will react because they haven't yet reacted. But based on your statistics, based on your data, you imagine what the people will say. But sometimes it might happen that the people do not really react the way you wanted to react, no, because this is not organic, no. Now, how do you measure if your target audience is responding well to your book or your business?
Boy, my sales, my sales will tell me, like, let's be real. The figures do not lie. You know if your target audience is responding to your work when the bank account is having ka-ching. That's really how it goes. When you're hearing ka-ching in your bank account, that is when you understand that your business is working. If you're not hearing the ka-ching, then you know for a fact that you are not doing something right.
All right, that is fair enough, and that is clear, and people should understand that. All right, thank you so much, Ava. Would you like to share with people how they can find you, where your books are available, so they can get a copy for themselves?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So if you want to find me, go onto LinkedIn and look for Dr. Ava Eagle Brown. You can literally follow me on LinkedIn. I'm there. If you want to have your book published, you want to talk about changing your mindset, you need a speaker for your event, or you just want somebody to help you map out the strategy for whatever you're doing, please connect with me. I really use LinkedIn a lot because LinkedIn is a space where my kind of target audience hangs out. I've come to learn. So that I'm on Instagram as Dr. Ava Brown 24. Email me business@avaeaglebrown.com. I'm so glad that you had me on this program. I'm really grateful, and I look forward to connecting with you again.
Thank you so much for that. And what would be your final thought here to conclude the conversation?
My final thought to close this conversation is a thought that we need to understand that greatness lies within us, and that all of us have something uniquely beautiful that the world is waiting on, that there's a target audience waiting to read from us, but we need to pull out our fingers, ready to invest in ourselves, not just a Gucci bag, the Louis Vuitton, the fake lashes, the fake fingernails, but doing something that our children will be proud of, leaving legacies and leaving our mark.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ava. I appreciate this. This is so beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.